200 Russian journalists sign letter demanding U.S. reporter's release.
Here's a summary of the article.
At least 200 Russian journalists have signed an open letter calling on the Russian government to release American journalist Evan Gershkovich after he was detained and charged with espionage last week. Russia's Federal Security Service had provided no evidence to support this claim. It expects us to take its investigators at their word, the journalist said in a scathingly worded open letter published by several news organizations on Tuesday. The FSB's reputation, on the contrary, has been destroyed by its own agents over the years, the letter continued. The letter's authors compared Gershkovich's espionage case to that of Russian defense reporter Ivan Safronov, who was last year found guilty of treason and sentenced to 22 years in prison, in a case that his supporters allege was brought against him as punishment for his journalism. The similarities between this new espionage case and the case against Safronov give us reason to seriously doubt the accusations against Evan Gershkovich, the letter said. At least 218 Russian journalists, news organizations, and members of civil society had signed the letter demanding as of Wednesday morning. Espionage charges carry a maximum 20-year jail term under Russian law.
This post received a score of 6,500, with an upvote ratio of 98%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Today's headline: 200 Russian journalists arrested for demanding U.S. reporter's release.
200 Russian journalists commit mass suicide by jumping from 10-story building. Twice.
Their bodies were found by confused Ukrainian fighters after the journalist remains had been loaded onto trebuchets and launched over the line of fighting by the well-equipped Russian military.
Unfortunately, this was in retaliation for the arrest of the Russian-Brazilian spy who was trying to infiltrate the international high courts. Putin isn't going to let him go unless he gets his spy back.
Just to clarify one small thing, he was not Brazilian, he just pretended to be one as a fake identity. Maybe you meant that, but it didn't look like it. Have we just found another George Santos alias?
I appreciate the gesture, but that the journalist won't be released unless some kind of swapping of prisoner happens.
At least they tried?
Now they have to stay away from Windows.
Switch to Linux. World's only Linux using reporter today fell from the 10th story of hotel.
Unironically signing their own death certificate. Brave, be safe.
Most of them have already fled. Signing these letters is not dangerous by itself, but journalism is.
To be fair, Russian expats who have been critical of the Putin regime have been the target of assimilation in the past.
Resistance is futile.
I hope people realize how incredibly courageous it is for anyone living in Russia to publicly protest any behavior of Putin. They're putting their lives on the line for truth, and at least in the USA this is something we take for granted. Massive respect to these Russian journalists.
Brave people. They are actually being more proactive about the jailed journalists than actual US journalists here. Disgusting what partisan rot does to the brain.
I don't think it's partisan rot. US journalists would only throw more fuel on the fire. When the US public really wants someone back, Russia gains leverage. That's exactly what happened with Brittany Griner.
Brave. I respect those journalists who sign.
Man, that is incredibly brave.
Same power as psychologist's letter saying Trump is not fit to prez.
Sounds like a US reporter is about to get some company in prison.
200 Russian citizens just painted targets on themselves.
I'd be worried they're all going to get taken. That country should really just revolt at this point. There's nothing good coming of anything with Putin in charge.
200 Windows will be sites of some pretty messed up shit pretty soon. 200 Russians now on a list somewhere. Russia, don't listen. It's a one-sided conversation. The letter might get there, but will it be read?
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.